make sure my voice is carrying. Hi, everybody. I'm Reverend Brendalyn Batchelor, and I am the minister at Unity Santa Fe for the past 23 years, and a member of the congregation for 8 years before that, so I'm kind of in the plaster. And I have been serving on the board of Southwestern College for the past 6 years, and was just appointed for another 3-year term. And Southwestern College in Santa Fe, New Mexico was founded by Robert Waterman. And it was founded based on the Phineas Quimby Library, which was they moved from Alamogordo, New Mexico up to Santa Fe, and we have a wonderful little campus there. And if you know anyone that wants to study transformational psychology, it's the place to go. That's where I went on my vision quest that I talked about last year and everything. So I've had the privilege, because Robert is a emeritus board member, president emeritus, and so comes to most of the board meetings. So I've had the privilege of working with him and knowing his work for a number of years. So I'm delighted that he's bringing it to our convention. And you may want to talk to Judy Marshall afterwards, because they've been doing his work for some time at Unity Spiritual Center, Albuquerque. Where's Judy? I saw her. There she is. Right. So, Robert, as you will see from the information you were given, this is also his latest book on the theory and practice of noetic balancing, which you might be interested in. And
we have to order it?
No, you have some back here, right?
At the Albuquerque bookstore on the 3rd floor.
The Albuquerque bookstore table.
And we have some back here too.
And there's
some back here.
Right.
Save one for me.
Okay, I'll hold on to Donna's, okay. So anyway, it is my honor and delight to introduce this wonderful being of light, and to have him, share his work with the entire Unity movement. So help me welcome Robert Waterman.
So it's quite a turnout. That's great. So I'm going to start at the beginning.
Sure.
Because
There was a void.
this Unity movement you've gotten swept up in started a long time ago. So one of my favorite words is zeitgeist, and that's a time spirit, a spirit of the times, and that's inspiring in and of itself. But whatever this time spirit is carrying out or present for, comes through the individual. So it's a little bit like a archetype that way of our human nature or human existence. That whatever manifests from these different planes, that comes to the individual. So now we have the vocabulary. I'm going to start in the beginning. This is it's a terrible color. Now, that's not a criticism of the beginning. I'm sure the colors were fine back then. Oh, that's better. The black is missing out of here, so. So I like to look at this as the first cause. The first, so we can, maybe you can see there's also places that exist within us, too. It came with us. So the first cause has a nice ring to it. We've heard the term El Shaddai. That's the first cause. And it's everlasting because it stays. I mean, it has to, right? It starts and it is. So that's the frequency of it, El Shaddai. And so here we are back there in the first cause, whatever was the seed of us. And an interesting thing happened. One aspect came out as what becomes the individual things in creation, and the other part went out as creation. So in our seed cell, there's an aspect that went out and become part of everything. And the other came out to be the individualization. So we have this in us. When you see this cross, it's about where those intersect, where the spirit of the whole has the individual experience of living. So that becomes an impulse. When we refer to that sometimes as the will of God in us. The way I like to look at it is, you hear these terms when you're little and you spend your lifetime trying to make sense of them. So my sense of the will of God is love will have its way. So in that first cause, the loving was in the seed, and the impulse to embrace everything and to go out and be an individualization was there. So you can't help it. So you couldn't help but end up here someday wondering about these questions. See, it was just a matter of time. So in terms of zeitgeist, this was, what kind of time spirit is this? That first one was all time. In other words, it set the times. So time is a space. So time just is. So past, present, future, they just are. And this is very convenient if you want to transform yourself, because it's all within arm's reach, which we'll go into as we go along here. So what's an image of this might be? It's like when I was thinking about this earlier, there was a weather map, from the satellite, and it had this big swirling.
Your jacket's putting me in.
This big, swirling cloud, and it had a little thing in the middle with it. It's like a vortex. It must have been a tornado. So I remember that. It's familiar. It's like you have this vastness, and then you have this vortex, and it just like whenever that vortex opens up, it just pulls it all through you. So when you reach up in yourself into that spirit, it opens. And you can breathe a little to help it, and it comes in. It goes all the way through and anchors. And so that's the mechanics of the zeitgeist. And it's built in. You just have to dare to access, because it can mess up everything. All your preconceptions, all your ideas about yourself, all your self-importance, and by that I mean the ways you put yourself down is the way, you put yourself up. That's all theory. See? It can disrupt all that because of that energy it brings through, that personal awareness that the only real activity inside you is love having its way. See? And then this has so I'll go down here a little bit further so you can see this. So this is energy coming in. This is the universe, and everything in here is kind of reflects off of this back into here. So this spirit comes in and goes out. But then it goes through what you've made up about yourself. It goes through your personality, your belief system. So everything you've decided about yourself programs that energy to go out with your stamp in it. So whatever you've chosen inside, you've chosen for everything. Because it goes out and it reflects back. Comes back through people, events, situations, circumstances, then you meet it in your life in the present moment. See, so it's you meeting you in a way. And it comes back with all the things you've added. It just helps you see them, see your lifestyle. I think they might call it karma. But anyway, it meets you. And so you have to deal with it. And so the key is to use everything that meets you to transform yourself into loving. See, and that restores that enables the zeitgeist of allowing that transformation of the world into loving to take place. So that's the time sphere we're working with. It's set up for transforming the world into loving, but how does that occur? It occurs through individuals. So this Noetic balancing is all about, lining yourself up and cleaning up the lens here, the crystal, so that it enables the zeitgeist to come through in a bigger way. See? So anytime you have gratitude or forgive yourself or act out of service or loving, you enable that. You start transforming yourself into loving. Every time you're willing to look at the darkest place inside of you and bring loving into that, see, instead of judge it or make it wrong, you contribute to that. I think Jesus put it, whatever you do to the least of these, you do to me. So that's the least of you inside. So the smallest part you've judged in the worst way. See? This also has to do with detail. The most, the subtler, like, where are you conscious? Are you conscious when you put a glass on the table? See? There's a whole consciousness there. These glasses are very intelligent. They know how to be a glass. They just hold themselves like that. They're a little, stiff, but they hold themselves. So you appreciate that activity. See? So the individualization of that glass, see, came out of the same mechanics that we did. See, so everything. So when you see a tree, or however that being got there, it's there for the same way, in the same way. So anytime you connect with nature, or you're connecting with this field, that you're joining the zeitgeist that you came in to be a mechanism of. So the next reference point is I want to use is this is I'll put my Jesus here because there's an individual that like renewed the time spirit. In other words, at that point, a new zeitgeist was put in place that had to do with the a time that this is the time when individuals have an opportunity to wake up to the Christ within themselves. It was that was laid in the beginning, and it's like a mole. The spy stories of moles. It's a mole. It's in there waiting to be activated, and so that frequency was to activate it, to bring that Christ, the energy of that Holy Spirit, all the way down, anchored into earth, and carried into all the places that it managed to hide out from it and liberate that. I guess it's so possible to get wrapped up in who you think you are that you forget entirely who you are. And so at that point you need some help. It's just, you can't find your way out. It's hard to wake up. It's like believing you're your automobile and you forgot you were the driver, something like that. If that's a good analogy. So that's at this new renewal or new zeitgeist, where the spirit of the time is to wake up to the Christ within. And that becomes then the vehicle of the transformation of the world. And fully demonstrating the power of that, which was pretty hard to contain in a physical incarnation, a physical body. So anything other that's added to the teachings of Jesus Christ is extra. That's the teaching. See? And so everything he did was to assist people to wake up to that. So, and then I know I'll go back to Quimby in a minute, but with Fillmore, Charles Fillmore, there's a way to study this. They call it like a phenomenology, but it's a way to use your own consciousness to explore in a scientific way. So he came to a place where he could look at this inner Christ in terms of the 12 powers, in terms of the 12 disciples, which were, so those are different personalities, those are different personalities, but different aspects of the Christ. And so sometimes we're doing more of those one than the other, but eventually we realize all those and bring them together. So in these many incarnations and many lifetimes, we've been, kind of making our rounds into, being strong or eliminating. I guess we had a diarrhea lifetime or something. Because we were holding on too tight with the zealotness or the whatever else, So we eventually balanced. And so another aspect of that is really them starting to use the scriptures as a symbolic key. As a symbolic key. Really the way we're coded is in terms of light and sound. And so when we have these images and realize that, you talk about one of the disciples, you're really talking about access to a certain consciousness. And so by realizing that, you can use it as an access rather than a definition. See, so it takes you into the meaning of the field, it's in the field, and out of the intellectual or mental meaning. See, so it's not a rational process, it's a mystical or metaphysical process. So it lets you tap into the vibration. So, you put together this whole dictionary on how to use the scriptures to tap into these frequencies that are in the zeitgeist, see? And then bring those to your individual expression and use that to work out your own meaning and resolve things within yourself and to wake up. See? So he's a great example of how, as he experienced or woke up to that individual relationship to the whole, he could begin to translate that and grew in it. See? And show. So his example is just as important as the material. Like when you look at the way that person did that. See? It's just as valuable as the material. I don't know if this is true or not, but it has another. I was reading in some material about Fillmore, and he believed he was. He wasn't. Yeah, the reincarnation of Paul. Now Paul was kind of very literalist. He's all, rules, and this is good and that's bad. And so it's like a contrast, like, oh, yeah, that's his karma then. See, no, that wasn't your past life, that's your karma. But because it was such a kind of tight, Paul had the connection, but he then went around and writes and do's and don'ts, and that's the Old Testament stuff. So anyway, it was kind of fun when I read that about that. Say, oh yeah, could that be true? Well, it could be true. At least it's true metaphorically. And so, if he looks it up in the dictionary, at least he has the definition for his karma. So this is the fun part of it, that these aspects of ourselves that seem like destructive or limited are very much an advantage. See, one might like to look at karma as it's a bank shot for loving will have its way. See, fear can't inflict or make you, but because it supports everything, it's unconditional love. So it's your choice. So you create this kind of perspective, and you go out on it, and loving's still working with that, but it has to go bounce off of something that wakes you up, and then it can straighten you out. So each one of these patterns, even illness, is a process. So we very much part of this realization in this is that really respecting people's path. If they're doing something you think is wrong or bad, like, well, first come into an honoring and respecting of that path, because that's just as a holy process, just a divine process as you. It's the zeitgeist working its way out, and they're doing a bank shot. So love them and support them first, and then see how you can work with that to maybe guide it or lift it or whatever's necessary. Okay, so we'll go down the way here, and we just call this the American Transcendentalist, because that's the milieu that Quimby came out of. So the zeitgeist goes on. And so Quimby was a fascinating character, and as the story goes, he was a watchmaker in New England, and so he had a very detailed consciousness, and he had consumption for TB, I guess it is. And so they had rules for TB, like when you have TB, you have to do these symptoms and do these behaviors. And so you memorize those, and that'll keep your TB intact. And that's supposed to be a remedy, but all it does is keep the definition intact. Like, and if you identify with it, like you have TB, so I am TB. See, that's even worse. Like one of the things I encourage people is your feelings are just information, not identity. Because we're always doing like, I'm sick, I feel sick, so I am sick. See, I'm angry at this person, so I am anger. See, I did something disgraceful, so I am shame. And we'll get back into that later. But so it's just information. So, but anyway, he was believing the information, so he was doing the behavior that was going to keep his TB intact and keep his idea of himself going. So he's out taking the air. One of the rules was just take gentle walks or get in your buggy and, take a gentle buggy ride. See? And if you do that, your disease will stay intact. See? So, as the zeitgeist would have it, something startled the horse and it ran. And it was really a dangerous run. You're like, really, it must have been a rattlesnake or something. Now, do they have rattlesnakes back east? Anyway, it scared the horse. And so by the time he got under control, the TB was gone. It just wasn't there anymore. So when he behaved totally the opposite of how he was supposed to, the TB was, see. So this is interesting. So instead of trying to fix the problem or cure the disease, you just change the reality. See? That's always the key to even psychological problems, is that you have the pattern of the problem, issue, disease, and then you have your relationship to it. And so this is all entangled with your beliefs about life and your cosmologies and your ancestry and whatever milieu you grew up in, and what the society says it's all about, holding that. And then you have you, which is your soul, and you wake up to that. So you wake up to the inner Christ, or the inner crisis issue, you wake up to your soul. Anyway, it's all the same. So you wake up to that, and this gives you a measure where this is the true self, and this is the, I was going to say false self, but that might give it a bad rap. It's just not true. It's alternative truth.
Alternative truth.
Made-up self.
See, you get all the new material we need, so it's alternative truth. And so here's the truth, the alternative truth. See, so to understand the truth, you have to understand the alternative truth, because this is all serving some purpose. And so as you wake up to that, this you identify here, it starts to show you like where you defined yourself. Where you use the I am of yourself to say I am this, I am that. You see those because you have the measure, and then you can either clear by waking up to it, giving voice to it, forgiving yourself. Sometimes it's just so fast, it breaks loose so fast, it just takes you to a new place, and you don't have a chance to do anything else with it but give up. In that sense, so anyway, that was what was going on there. See, so he became curious about well, what happened here? What was going on with this? And he did a lot of research, explored hypnosis, and he finally came up to what he called the science of the Christ. It's a very simple process. Very powerful, very simple process. And so he would, of course it was based on the awakening to the Christ within is the healing. Well, part of that process is to understand the belief system that you have that holds you out of focus with it, or in a distorted relationship to it. So he'd sit down with a person and go through their belief system and where their false beliefs were, work those out, have that kind of conversation. And do this in a consciousness of being present. And by that I mean divine presence, like when you're really present with what is. There's no judgment about what is, you just look at it like it is. In all of its glory and all of its darkness, or whatever it is, you're going to be present with it. And just present. And what that does is line you up inside so that you're embodying the entire range of the levels and dimensions and this whole flow of energy that brings this cosmic Christ into the personal Christ and wakes that up. So you're in that presence. So also in that being present with what is, we also talked about a moment ago how whatever's in your consciousness circles out and reflects back to you. See? So it's showing everything back that's in your frequency and the frequency of the person you're sitting with. So there's the levels of beliefs and issues. But then inside of that is a level of the soul that's also reflecting back, or shining back through it, because you're present. See, if you're like almost present, it wouldn't do that. It's present. And we hold that for a moment, but that's a very powerful thing where you say, how do you do that? Well, usually you think you're, like when you think of, well, that bell just went off, or what do I got to do after this class, or why is he talking so long? See that you think those aren't distractions; those are just thoughts. So, like, did the cloud going by distract you? Well, maybe it did. But see, they're just there. the walls are there, the floor's there. It didn't distract you. See? So you just let all that do whatever it does, because that's what we do. See, so don't object to, don't judge your own nature. Like, I'm bad, I'm thinking I'm not being present. So you be present with those too. So what is total. Like all the distractions and the discomfort of your body and your issues and your guilt and whatever else, your regrets come up or whatever's going on in your consciousness right now. That's just part of what is, so you're present with that too. See, and as soon as you do that, you drop back into that silence, into that loving, into that sound, into that Christ. And it's just very powerful. You consider like, well, you have a problem and you're identifying with it, you have an issue, how do you solve that? Well, the first step always is to be present with it and then step back into that place where you're in the silence, in the peace, in the loving, in the Christ. And identify there. And as soon as you do that, the self-judgment and the belief about yourself, what the issue was, it just becomes experience. See, without any judgment on it. And this seems like a small thing, but it's very powerful. As soon as you switch from belief about what's going on and judgment about what's going on and reaction to just experience, there's something inherent in the experience that starts to resolve itself. See, the original El Shaddai, the original first cause, loving will have its way. As soon as you go back into that frequency, and shift to experience, the resolution just starts. So you just watch it resolve itself. See? Yeah, you feel that. See? Okay, so where we are with Quimby, being present in that kind of energy and what is, and then he's still talking though, so he looks at what does he notice? What we notice is that this person had, this happened to them and they decided this thing about themselves, so they need to work that out. And he notices something else, and pretty soon those are resolved. See, so they're both toe-to-toe here in this presence because these obstacles and distortions of the client's presence are away. And then he did something he called just sitting with them in that presence. So just be present and more present. See, and more present. And so there's this relationship we each have to, actually it's a kind of esoteric meaning of the golden mean, where this, the small part is the large part, the large part is the whole. And so whatever you are in the small part, you're present with your wholeness. You got your ego and your soul, and that's whole. And then that goes out to the wholeness. So you merge with that, and when you're in the wholeness, you're in the same wholeness that the client's in. See? So it's like your soul and their soul is ganging up on anything that's left and moving through this field of relationships. So like right now, I'm the part of you that talks about this stuff, and you're the part of me that listens to this stuff, and then also reflects back little things I might have missed, or all the ways to do it. Well, that's pretty amazing. You see, puts things in perspective. See, when you get to that level of it, it just starts to amplify. And presence brings more presence. And that becomes the focus. whatever we focus on inwardly, the inner person is given us outwardly, 100-fold. That's a biblical also. And so this just keeps building. See? And I don't know how long he would sit, I guess, until either passed out or thought they were done. So often you can feel completion to something like that. So that was his Science of the Christ, and those simple elements to it. Funny, you put everything in existence on one little sheet of paper. So, noetic balancing is a direct evolution of Quimby's Science of the Christ. Just a little more technical, in a sense. So give a little perspective here. Anybody can have these sheets of paper when I go in.
Will you sign? This is a symbol for a physical body. Maybe the least of these, right? And so we've touched this a little bit up to this point about, we're here in our body and that's mostly what we're aware of, but when we start using our feelings and our fatigue or our sitting as information and then, go back in ourselves a little bit and there's a space here. And one way we look at it in noetic balancing, where we got the name, noetic just means consciousness, or, it's like intelligent love. It's the consciousness. It's the whole individual relationship to the wholeness. See, and that word comes from, its root word is nous. And nous is the first emanation of spirit into form. So it's a derivation of El Shaddai. It's a definition of the first cause. So we're dealing with the first cause as it's manifest presently right there with that person and in that their version, their updated version of the creation of the first cause. This is what that being has done with it up until now. See? So it's in the same perspective as I've been talking about. So we like to work within this space here. Now, there's many levels of the consciousness, and when this field is balanced, it's very easy to center in ourselves. So when we're centered, we're very much in the flow of that energy. Say a belief, say I'm unlovable, and it creates a form out here. And so it distorts the area of this field. See? Or maybe there's shame here and it distorts part of the field. Or you see something that's terrible and awful and you say, I don't want to see that. I didn't see that. And so it starts distorting the energy here. So we work in this field out here. And these are all within arm's reach. See? So if you want to know where your beliefs are that you're trying to find, they're just all right around here. And in fact, if you talk with your hands, you can watch your hands. Like one time I was driving down the street, well then you know where that belief is. See, another time this person almost hit me, and that's where that belief is. See? So if you just kind of watch, or you just can mirror back to somebody while they're talking, and that's where the belief is in the field. If you get a little more sensitive, you can feel it. And
in that field. I got a quick demonstration for this one. Just close your eyes a moment. We'll do other more in depth, but this is just so I can get the picture one. So close your eyes and just imagine a basketball. You all have seen a basketball at least once in your life, right? Or you can do a beach ball, whatever. You just imagine it and just like spin it around a bit and maybe sense the last place you were when you saw a basketball or a beach ball on the beach or in the basketball court. Kind of look at it. Take a breath, maybe drop into your center a little more while you're in your center a little more while you're watching the basketball. Okay, now in a quite innocent, non-thinking way, take your physical hands and put them on the ball. And then open your eyes. See, none of you have your hands inside your body. They're all out here in your field. So anytime you form a belief, it's out here someplace. See, so you're looking out through all of the beliefs you had before. So when you're present with what is, you can start to distinguish. Oh, there's something obstructing my vision here. So when we balance those patterns, you have more clarity, as well as more center. Anybody have their hand sticking inside of them? I just always want to check. Maybe it's all my orders inside of me. See, so it's like, it's like you go in, and as you go in, you go out. So as you become more centered, you also become more. See, that very much it's the metaphor of you're the wholeness, and you're the singular experience of the wholeness. Because you go in, and then you go back out. So it's good to get comfortable with yourself. And, wow. We've only been doing this 10 minutes. No, actually, like 45, 40. We started late. This is great. I haven't even gotten started yet. So let me see. There's a piece I wanted to. Do I want to do that now or at the end? I'll do that later. So now that you got the mechanics of it with the basketball and so forth, would you like to try an experiment?
Yes.
Okay. So close your eyes again. Take a deep breath and just relax into your space. And just, whatever way you do this with your imagination, just touch into that center column of light that comes to the top of your head and down through your spine into the earth. Just kind of relax into that, touch into that, and just breathe through it. And as you're breathing in through that column of light, just bring that, on your exhale, just bring that energy, that light out into your space. And we all sense this differently. Some of you just sense you in your space, and others can visualize you in your space. There's always some kind of sensitivity or relationship. Yeah, it's very good. Just keep breathing that way and dropping into that space, that center. And whatever your power words are, code is for connecting you to Spirit or to the Christ, just use that inside of you. Actually have an image that reminds you. And just start breathing that through your body, through your center, through your space. As you do that, you become more and more present. So you invite that divine presence to be with you for the highest good. So you made this place where you are. And then quest inside to become aware of a time when you were disturbed or felt alone or powerless or had guilt or shame or some unresolved issue in the past week or so. Just pick one. Let it could be a big one or a little one. And just let it also come into your awareness. It's not a taking over, you're staying in your presence. But you're noticing, you're shifting your attention. You're saying, oh, this is, I can invite this into my awareness. It was a good place. And you look at what happened, who else was involved, did you react? Did you judge yourself or someone else? What did you decide about yourself? And if you like, you can even take one of your hands and touch where that, leave your eyes closed. You can even touch where that is in your field if you like. It's not required, but that's another way to work with it. So you touch it. And whatever you think it is where it is, because it's going to move there anyway, because that's just how cooperative it is. So then look at that and look at, oh, I decided I was this because of that. So I forgive myself for believing whatever I decided in relationship to that thing that happened to me. And just say that inside yourself. I forgive myself for believing. Then take a really deep breath. Breathe out. Deep breath. And release it. So you breathe in the light and then you release the belief. And then you let yourself just move with the change. And see how what you experience. You know, either in your body or in your feelings or in your thought. Maybe you just felt more present. Maybe you're not sure what you felt, but you feel a little more settled, a little calmer. So just take a moment of gratitude and ask for another one, another unresolved issue. Perhaps there's something you forgot about, but if you ask, you'll tell yourself. Or you say, I don't know what happened back there, but you know, whatever happened made me feel very ashamed about myself. And that's as close as I can get. So you say, I forgive myself for believing I'm shameful. I'm a shameful person. Because of whatever that is, I can't quite remember. And just really focus on that. And then forgive yourself and take that deep breath and release it. And see where it takes you. It could actually give you a glimpse of what it was you can't quite remember. So you incorporate the siren sound and say, is there another time I heard a siren that took me to a situation, whether it was alarm or fear, and where I decided something about myself. Perhaps there was, perhaps there wasn't. But touch back into that. Was there trauma there? Was it a siren for me? And again, repeat the forgiveness process. And one more. Just take yourself to a time, or even ask for guidance. If there's anything inside of me that I said or did, or someone said to me, or I did, and I decided something about myself that I could never tell anybody else. So you may not have to, but you have to tell yourself. You have to tell the Christ within you. So that secret, it could be a small thing or a large thing. It could be a shameful thing. It could be something that happened to you with one of your relatives. And just get hold of that sense, that secret. And when you have the frequency, again, just, I forgive myself. Take a deep breath and just release that. Ah, it's a good one. Yeah, just let the... We're transforming ourselves into loving. Let's go one more place. And this is for any situation or circumstances in my own ancestry, for anyone that's carried a secret or a judgment. On their behalf, I forgive myself. Again, just take a breath and release any ancestral shame or blame or judgment or secret. And maybe visualize that going back up to your family tree. And if you don't know who your family tree is, you will just watch it go back up a family tree, and that one's yours. I've been shown one more here. So this one is anything you've seen in the news that you react to. It's I forgive myself for any time I created, promoted, or allowed that kind of behavior or expression. And then forgive yourself and release it. While we're in this place, we just ask if there's any, in this space we've created within ourselves, we've made a place, we've prepared ourselves. Whatever level of the Christ, whatever greater level of experience that can awaken within me, or whatever greater blessing I can receive, that be placed now. That availability is accepted. And that whatever we might be lifted to or shown about the possibility of when we're together in the Christ, of one heart, in the remembrance of our seed, of our origins, and the cause for which we came, that be made aware to us and energized and awakened in our consciousness at this time. We embrace that. We accept who we are in truth. As you're ready, just open your eyes and focus more back into the room. So one more piece, and open up the questions. in this time of the transcendentalist, there's this very powerful statement that Emerson made. And it, to me, it gives focus to this process of, as we transform ourselves into loving, the transforming of the world into loving can take place. So it's already said. It's what we wake up to. And so Emerson made this statement that for the first time, a nation will be created that is based on individuals that have awakened to their soul and base their actions on that soul within them. So that was his prophecy for this country. So that's the zeitgeist. When you join unity, that's the zeitgeist. You join. You see, because it's all part of that lineage that came from the beginning. It began with El Shaddai and marched within us through time, through space, maybe even perhaps, and through various renditions, and give a little kick started by Jesus the Christ, and then people picked that up and carried it, like Emerson and Quimby and Bill Morris and so forth, and now us. So, that's all I have. So, any questions or other answers, alternative news, or yeah.
So if it's a condition in the body, is it still in the field?
Oh, that reminded me of a whole piece of the Quimby work I forgot. When they started experimenting at Quimby Center with this order balancing stuff, this noetic balancing, one of the theories they were working on, incidentally, this came to a channeling through Dr. Hunter, who channeled this being called Ralph Gordon, who disclosed that he was Quimby. So that's how it's a continuation also. But anyway, what the exploration was that diseases start out here in the aura with beliefs and decisions, and I guess stuff we pick up from the environment or thought forms, or maybe we bump into some toxic belief. But again, anyway, it starts in the field. We identify with it and incorporate it, and it condenses
Into the body.
Yeah, into the body. So if we could balance it out here, it would never get in the body. So it was actually conceived as a prevention to illness.
But once it's in the body,
Well, it's in the body because that's the expression it's taking. So,
you
with
just
that,
love
there's
it.
well, not just. See, this is a wholeness. So we can't say, metaphysical healing is better than allopathic healing. What, are you going to split God up and try to heal yourself? See? So, and everybody, two people can have the same disease and different karma as a reason for having the disease. So there's the remedy that might be a physical one. And then maybe you use it, maybe you don't. But then there's the metaphor, the symbol. You look at the disease as a metaphor, because this brings understanding about what in your process you're trying to give yourself. So you can see the body is a total sacrifice to the soul. So it's on its way out. It's going to get used up. So we're talking about using it up better. See, when it also lasts longer. But see, so there's a metaphor to the disease. Like if there's restriction in the lungs, or you break your leg, or there's a metaphor to it. So you also include that to start building meaning. Then there's your relationship to the illness. Do you judge yourself or define yourself in terms of the illness? Or do you wake up to the Christ within you in relationship to your illness? So see, there's all these levels to it. So I suggest everybody use all of them. See? And in our practice of noetic balancing, some people's physical symptoms change and some don't. See? Because of that process. They used to joke that when you're doing a balancing, and this is in the days before they really knew what they were doing, they said, well, we balance somebody, and what if we were just to resolve all their karma and they die? So we laughed like that, but we don't need to owe anything to see karma's opportunity. We don't need to have that to go on and do things and do loving and become more loving. It's an infinite process. See, so I don't know how far this goes, but consider that as you wake up in this relationship with the Christ, in the center line, which is spirit, and then this field, there's a geometric structure. And as you awaken to that more and breathe that, through your body, it's going to start shifting the molecular nature. It's going to activating the atoms different. It's going to start translating the body. See, so I think Fillmore lived to be 90 something, and when his leg got better. See, there's a lot of examples of this, of this transformation. So, does the body become light, perhaps, or does it need to? Some people just wake up and know where they're going. Other people, maybe they're going to turn into light. See, it's integral. See, so it's not a separate thing. So we talk about maybe your mental or your emotional. Well, it goes all the way through you. So it's like the wholeness is all the way through you.
Is it like a samkara?
Well, that's an awakening of energy.
Yeah.
Samsara. Yeah. I forgot the name. You got the right name? Yeah, that where this energy opens up. But it's more than that. See, it's like when you consider that, some of our illnesses are caused because we're in opposition to the environment. Well, if you're at peace with the environment, see, then the light comes through that part of creation, through us. See, so we're at home in nature. It energizes us. We're not afraid of the jungle. See, so that vibrates the body a certain way. So see, here you are in your body. And then what are you going to float it in? See, what's going to be the atmosphere you breathe through it? See, is it going to be your fear of your body? Like, I'm so afraid I'll get sick and get this and get that. Or, for me, I have this disease, Well, I'll victim myself to death. See, when you're a victim, you can't breathe for the spirit through it. You said, this part doesn't belong to God anymore. It belongs to my attitudes. See? So when you start feeling your body, it's like, oh, what if the stars are flowing through my body? See, then you feel the body lighten up. See, I don't know if you can levitate with that, but some people can.
You mentioned that the thought is out in the field and the aura is not in the body.
What's that?
I believe you said at one point that the thought is out in the field, that you can locate it.
Yeah.
But you said it's not in the body, like in the cell.
No, it can be, if it gets dense enough.
Yeah, that's was my
Yeah.
question.
It's the point is that it's out here in the field, usually. And it gets denser, and if you keep it long enough, it'll condense into your body. Because the aura goes all the way through the body. And so you're in yourself. See, your body is in yourself. And so these patterns we create, these judgments, they pass through the body. Sometimes we're working on something out here and a person's body's in pain, and it changes because this was creating a distortion in the field. See, the distortion goes out, so it brings that up. Somebody else is maybe condensed into the body and they have cancer someplace. Cancer is an example of something's really condensed into the body. So it's got pushed so deeply in that it takes some physical event to get you to wake up. Because when it was out here, you could ignore it. So yeah, it's all both are true. It's all true. See, you got to get yourself as an energy being here. See, yeah. And then Start to sense that. See, and then you may notice that when you cough, all of a sudden your body frees up about something. Oh, something must have been in there that got thrown out. See? So we talk about one of the 12 powers of elimination, and how does all that happen? The common cold eliminates a lot of stuff, so it's working for that disciple. See, various things like that. Or, so anything way we release stuff we can. Sometimes it's just disidentifying with it. Oh, I'm not that. You know, I'm not this. I'm not a terrible person. Or unlovable. You know, I'm not that. I changed my mind. Or you forgive yourself for believing it. As soon as you deconstruct that, you go to your truth. So your default is a loving. The default setting is a loving. So you get that kind of ease with yourself. Yeah.
I was wondering if you're familiar with a holistic practice called healing touch.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to mention it because it's very similar. It's very similar in
Yeah.
and they're
You know, all
actually
the,
using it
yeah.
in hospitals now.
There's just one truth, and everybody's researching the same one, so they're going to discover it. And they're going to have different forms of it. This is just one of them. But the basis is there. See?
And I was sensing a little bit of doubt, and I know it works.
Yeah, no, it works, absolutely. Where it works. And it's, yeah. See, and again, it's being present with what is, and what do you notice? You touch it, and the energy flows. And then there's Reiki, and it works on the same principle. So a lot of things like that.
The whole Ho'oponopono prayer.
Yeah, that's great. That's
Yeah, I was thinking of that one.
when you have nothing to do, you just clean up the junk. This whole Ho'oponopono is great because part of the theory is that it's not the person; it's the negative belief systems. And if you erase the negative belief systems, you eliminate the negative input, and they forget why they were bad.
How do you consider being present to that change that may seem unacceptable, and yet the whole rest of the relationship is good? How do we stay present in that instance in relationship?
You know, sometimes the resolution is leaving.
Yes, I do know that.
Yeah, but sometimes that's the resolution of what you signed up for, was to leave.
Was to leave.
But the way I like to approach this with myself is so I don't miss anything. I'm present with that. You know, this is whatever it is, crazy, mixed up, dangerous, whatever. See, the more present you can be with that, the more it's just kind of you have some clarity on how bad it is. That's okay. See, there's no judgment there. It's just like, oh, there's also me, and then there's my situation, and then you look at what is there unresolved in me based on the model we've been looking at. If it comes into your reality, you had to program it in someplace. You know,
And you know you did.
yeah, that's good. So it comes back, see? So you look at, first you can start looking at the realization. Well, I'm starting to distinguish between the self I am in the relationship and the self I am in my truth. See? And that's not a justification for anything. It's just a pure, oh, I get it. All this thing that's happened to me, I decided it was me. I'm that person that does that situation. See, if you're in it, you decided it, even though you didn't know you signed up. But then start waking up to the you that's more your soul self, more your loving. Say, oh, so that's the first step. See, then you can look at, well...
And to love and forgive it. Right.
No, love and forgive yourself.
Right. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
That part of me that bought into it.
Yeah, so you're looking at that and say, oh, I forgive myself for believing I'm the victim of this. I forgive myself for believing that I didn't sign up for this, because I'm blameless. I forgive myself for, see, because on the ego level, we look at this stuff and shame and blame. So we don't solve it at that level. That's a level of awareness. We have to solve it on a higher self level. Because that's just responsibility. You know, it doesn't blame or shame. It just, look, I did this terrible thing. It's so embarrassing. I'm never going to do that again. See, that's more the high self level. Then there's the other level where we shame and blame. Blame the other person, shame ourselves, blame ourselves. See, so one level of karma here is getting over that level of trying to solve something, where you're doing shame and blame them or you. See, so what it may be all about, how did I bring this into my life? So you get over that, doing life that level. So you get over basing who you are on that other person's behavior and what you want them to do so you can feel better about yourself. You have to take responsibility and do that for yourself. See, so that may be the level of the karma, not something you did to that person in a past life or something they did to you. It may be the situation. Oh, I've got to, you know, I took on a whole conditioning into what a woman was in this civilization at this time, and I was living it, and after this one, I'm not going to do that anymore. See, that could be the whole karma right there. And that's your responsibility. And you didn't, it wasn't like a random thing.
Right.
You came in to get that. And this person did a beautiful job helping you get that. So then you go to gratitude, like, thank you for being such a jerk. You know, like I never would have got this if you had been like a normal good guy.
Or it has nothing to do with being a good guy or a good person. It has to do with a condition. Like if someone has a debilitating illness, and there you are, and it's not about abuse, it's about a...
Yeah, well, it's still this good guy, bad guy thing. It's like a good person's going to take care of him and does a certain thing.
And a bad person leaves.
There's going to be some judgment in there, yeah. And so you get those first. Then when you get everything cleaned up, then you look at it and see where you want to stay or go.
That makes sense.
And, you know, you may have cleared up your karma and that until they died. You didn't have to choose.
Or I did.
Yeah. Get ready to run. So let's just take a moment to just be present, take a deep breath. And so you leave refreshed and faster than time. And I really appreciate this chance to share with you. It's been exciting. And God bless us. And use everything in your life to transform yourself into loving. So the transformation of the world into loving can take place. Thank you so much.
Thank you.